What's up, blurbs? Welcome back to another episode of Blur the Lines. Today we're talking about love. I'm CJ.
And I'm Jovan. This week we have a special guest on our episode, so stay tuned to meet who our special guest is.
We'll be discussing the books How Not to Die Alone and How to Talk to Anybody. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
What's up, blurbs? Welcome to an episode of Blur the Lines.
We've got a special guest today, Hannah. Hannah is a special person to our house, i.e. CJ. And,
How's it going, guys?
We brought her on because we're discussing the topic of relationships and love.
Love, baby.
Love. So we thought to bring on a female voice just to, be more politically correct.
Offer a different perspective.
Yeah, we'll spice it up a little bit,
Yeah.
We're a couple of dudes over here just talking about everyday life, and it's good to get other opinions, other perspectives on things.
Definitely. So, Hannah, why don't you just introduce yourself quick for these listeners?
So, my name's Hannah. I've been dating CJ for going on 2 years now. I work in clinical research, and happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
You're very happy.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. We've never had a guest before, but if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, you can email us at blurthelinespodcast@gmail.com, and maybe you can be our next special guest.
Yeah. For me.
Yeah, for Yvonne. He's single as a Pringle for you ladies out there.
Yeah. So.
What did you read?
So today we covered How to Talk to Anyone by Liel Lowndes. So this is a book that she wrote that is basically 92 tips and techniques to build relationships and how to communicate with people off the bat. This book was actually really interesting because it's not like any other book that I've read before. It's literally a list of tips and techniques. You would open the book and it's basically like strategy number 1, do this. Strategy number 2, do that. So it's actually quite nice to read because for my I'm more right brain dominant, so I'm more like give me direction, give me this, I'll get it done, and it's literally like do this thing and this reaction will occur, and do this reaction will occur. By doing this you can increase your confidence, things like that, and it's actually quite fun to read, or at least to absorb. But yeah, like I said, there's 92 of them, which is a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, jeez.
And
Are we going to talk about all 92?
No.
Okay. Phew.
We'll touch on some of them, but yeah. So that's the book I'm going to cover. And what about yourself?
I did How Not to Die Alone by Logan Ury. So Logan Ury is basically the love guru behind Hinge, which is interesting and good that we have Hannah on the podcast because that's how we met. So it'll be interesting to see, some of the techniques that she says is best to use on Hinge. And for those of you who don't know, Hinge is a dating app out there, kind of like Tinder, Bumble, Plenty of Fish, Farmers Only, all those different sites. But she's kind of the mastermind behind it, and it breaks it down into 3 different sections of getting ready to date, getting yourself out there, and then getting serious. So prepping yourself and making sure that you're confident in what you're doing and how you're approaching getting on a dating app or just going on dates in general, because she also talks about people who want to meet people in real life rather than meet people on an app. And then getting out there, so how to go on dates and things to do on dates, and then also getting serious. So after you've gone on dates with people, find out special someone and buckle down and kind of get more serious about the relationship.
All right. So it sounds like a 3-part.
Yeah, I think we'll probably bounce around depending on how the conversation flows, but it'll be interesting. It'll be good to talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely a promotion for Hinge. You two sitting right here.
100%. Yeah, shout out Hinge. Sponsor us if you'd like. This is not sponsored.
Story. And it's not a short story. They're almost going on 2 years.
Yeah, about 2 years.
It's not like it's a 2-month thing. So personally, I don't really see dating apps as a way to find love, as people say it. But I don't know. there's clear evidence. You guys, what's your experience from it? Do you think it's better than finding someone in person? Whereas, tell us a little bit about Hinge and how it operates.
Yeah, so I think it definitely is going to depend on the situation. I mean, we met 2 years ago, so, COVID was still going on, so it was really hard to meet people just kind of out naturally in the wild. So I mean, that was kind of what a lot of people turned to during that time. And so, I mean, it is kind of your standard dating app, but I feel like Hinge kind of draws in a population of people that are a little bit more serious about finding a legitimate relationship as opposed to...
that?
I mean, I think the way that... When it's marketed, it's not necessarily the type of app that's like, hey, this is the app if you just want a casual hookup. It's like the app that's designed to be deleted. Like you're supposed to find somebody that you want to spend, a lot of time with in kind of a long-term partnership. So, I mean, it's the way that the app works is it's structured to showcase more of your personality. There's a lot more like prompts, and for whatever photo you add, there are little captions that you can add to it to kind of explain a bit more about yourself, your interests, things like that.
Yeah. And this is
as opposed to like Tinder or Bumble, where it's just like, here's a picture. Nobody really puts, I feel like, a lot of stuff on those profiles.
Yeah, I think Bumble even more so than Tinder, where there's more prompts and stuff. But Tinder, I feel like it was just, pictures.
Here's like 3 pictures.
And a couple stats about yourself.
That's
about it.
Yeah, like female 5'5".
Yeah, exactly. And
that's it.
26.
Yeah.
That's it. Female 5'5", brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
But
no.
But yeah, so I think, it really kind of just depends. I mean, I was in a case where, like I said, it was COVID, so that was kind of my option. I wasn't really going out too much at that point. And, it's definitely not always successful. There were a couple of not so great dates, and I think I was at the end of my online dating kind of timeline. Yeah. I was at the point where I was like, all right, this one doesn't work out. Well, I'm taking a break.
Then it did.
And here we are. So, but I mean, it definitely does work. My sister actually met her now husband on Hinge. And, they've been married since October. So 4 months, give or take.
But they've been together for a while, right? Like 5 years?
Yeah.
So they met before COVID on Hinge.
Correct. Yeah.
I wonder how much COVID actually changed dating apps. Like the use of dating apps.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could, buy stock in Tinder or something.
Circa like 2019.
Or something, and then during COVID, it probably shot up.
Yeah. That is
People
not financial advice.
That is not financial advice. We're not a financial podcast. That's just what I would have done,
Yeah.
But if you have a time machine, you can go back to 2019. Tinder, look it up.
Are they public? I don't even think they're.
No.
I don't think they're public. I don't think any dating apps are.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was talking to someone else the other day about this too. I find it not incredibly, but it's really difficult to meet people outside of work, basically.
Yeah.
As a young adult nowadays. Very rarely people do activities together where they can meet potential wives, other than like going for a drink or going out. I feel like that's almost the only way of meeting people nowadays is to go out to almost a bar at our place, have a drink, and meet a girl. For my case, and my worry is that just like those girls that you meet there are usually bar type girls that don't mind going to the bar or going out, but it's not to say that all the girls that I would like, for example, if she's a hiker or she's more adventurous or she just doesn't like a bar type scene, the chance of me meeting her is 0.
Well,
without
0 seems...
No, but like where would I meet this girl?
Well, so
that doesn't go to a bar per se.
So like what Logan Ury talks to is one tip she gives is if you're in lines, like people are more apt to build a conversation while they're in a line because they're bored and have nothing better to do. So if you make a little comment about something, people are more likely to drum up conversation, even if it's like in a coffee shop or you're waiting in line at Walmart or something.
Yeah.
The other thing is she suggests that people who are single and want to meet people off of dating apps, they make a graph, basically. And the x-axis is things that you are likely to meet people at, so social events. And the y-axis is things that you will enjoy. And her tip is to search up different activities around you and say, one is movies. Okay, well, you may really like the movies, but you're not likely to talk to anybody. So that's probably far left, but in the upper quadrant. And then maybe it's, I don't know,
horseback riding,
bird watching or something. And it's a social thing, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe you wouldn't enjoy that. And then there's like book clubs, horror book clubs or something, and you love horror novels, and that's something where you're literally talking about a book with everybody in that group. So that would be in an upper right quadrant, and that would be something that Logan Ury would suggest that you sign up for and try and go do.
Yeah.
So taking out down as many social activities that you can think of, and then going to as many as you can.
Yeah, but you need quite a lot of confidence for that, to just go to social gatherings.
We have to think they're kind of like people.
I know, but is it something you have done in like the last 2 years? Rarely. Like generally people nowadays either go out or stay in.
I don't know. I think there are different activities that you can.
No, there's definitely different activities that you can do. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in like the general aspect of society, the amount of people that go to random book clubs for the first time.
Yeah, that's true.
As an example.
Yeah, no.
Okay, sue me.
Like going off that example too, it's.
Okay, but
Your
say
ocean is much smaller.
Okay, say we were actually talking about this earlier. There's a rec center down the street, and we could join, a soccer league, but we only know each other, and maybe it's a co-ed league. You could join a co-ed league and go as a free agent and go meet people, go join a team, or go pick up soccer, like Wednesdays or something, and then you'll meet people, throughout, and you'll probably meet different people every week.
Mm-hmm. And I think if it's like a confidence thing, like you're worried to go out into a new group, I think it's okay to bring a friend too, to have as like an extra support.
No, that's true.
Buddy system.
It's definitely not easy.
No,
I think dating apps make it much easier.
Yeah.
They make it easier to meet people or to see people.
But in contact with.
But in terms of ease, we're in such an age where we have an overload of information, right? Like we talked about it with the organized mind 3 weeks ago now, where people can find answers to everything online, and they could find why something is good for you and why that exact same thing is bad for you online, depending on the sources that they have. So the same thing goes for dating apps. Like you are literally looking at hundreds, maybe thousands of people just in your area, and then maybe you go on vacation or something, and then you have a whole new lot of people that you can look through and pick from, and that is difficult. Like having to make a choice like that is not easy and pretty overwhelming, actually.
It also could be hard to sustain. I mean, you almost have to, like, if you do match with somebody, give like an elevator pitch of yourself to like hook their attention and keep the conversation going over message. Whereas, in person, I feel like it's easier to kind of find that natural, almost physical connection with somebody and be able to keep a conversation going. Whereas like over text, like I'll say personally, I am much more of a phone call person. I get bored with texts. And so, I mean, like over dating apps, like I'm like notorious for reading messages and like responding in my head, but I get distracted with something else, so I never respond, and then the match is gone. And it's like, well, that could have been something, but you actively have to put in this different type of effort with online dating.
Also think about all the people that you know that are like, oh, I just matched with this person, what should I say? And it's like that first message.
Especially when a lot of apps have like a timeline. Like you only
that's
have
true.
24 hours to send a message, otherwise the match is gone.
What apps are those?
Like most of them.
Bumble.
Really?
Yeah, Bumble girls, I think they only have like 24 hours
Yeah,
to
and then-
message you.
And then the guy has 24 hours to respond.
Yeah.
But I think Tinder too. I think most of them. It's like if you don't
know.
respond within a certain, like if you don't send a message within a certain time frame, then the match goes away. Unless you can potentially rematch that person if they come across
Yeah, if you buy premium.
your feed again. No, sometimes they come back.
No,
Yes.
no offense to people who have premium, but I just don't get it. You know?
They're really trying.
Yeah.
A for effort.
Yeah. Good for them. But yeah, I mean, having so many different options is tough. Is tough to have. So it's almost
Yeah,
like
but if you walk into a bar too, for example,
you have limited options.
there's like
Yeah.
hundreds of options at a bar, depending where you go.
Well, yeah, but you gotta factor in like the people who already have dates that are there,
Yeah.
and then like people who are doing something that you would also like to do. So maybe you can strike up a conversation with them. So I don't know. There's a lot less options than if you were just sitting on the couch and until
also
you
think-
run out of likes.
I also think when it comes to like dating apps, it can also be kind of geared towards a certain age group. Like, I mean, I think dating apps for like college age kids, there is like a level of kind of convenience and like, I don't know, there's like a kind of a natural like high or like pleasure that comes from just this swiping. But
Definitely.
like, I think now, like at the age that I currently am, like if this didn't work out, I don't think I'd go back on a dating app.
No?
I don't think I have the energy for it.
That's
Like
fair.
I think it takes a lot out of you to like put yourself forward, have this profile, and you know, put in the effort of going through it, trying to find people that, you know, just based on a profile you think could potentially be a match. Like that's the other thing. I think, and I say this more so for guys than for women, because as a woman I know I will overanalyze like my profile and try to like put as much of myself into it. Whereas like some of the guys' profiles, you can tell it was like no thought, no effort, and it's really hard to tell who that person really truly is, because it might not be that they're the type of person that would put like no effort or no kind of thoughts into themselves, into like whatever, you know, into a date, into your relationship.
So you're
but
getting
like the
like a
dating
little
app,
bit
they
of
just don't care.
You're getting a little bit of a personality there too.
Yeah,
Like the
so it's
lazy
like-
guy.
But
out
like
there.
they might just be lazy because it's a dating app, so who cares? When in real
Maybe.
life, they're the type of person that always puts 100% in, and you can't tell, so you might have swiped left, and you know,
Yeah.
who knows what that could have been. So I think I'm just like at a point where, you know, if I had to, you know, put myself out there again, I just don't think I have the energy for a dating app.
The question is though, is it less energy than what is expected of, let's say, you to expected, I put in quotation marks, but to go out, to get dressed up, to do your hair and makeup, blah blah, then go out to a bar, then hope someone walks up to you and talks to you, or you have the guts to walk up to a guy, let's say the same type of guy, and start talking to him.
I mean,
I don't think that's easier. I think that's
well,
harder.
I wouldn't say easier. I think when it comes to something like that, like going out, there is a level of fun to that, because it's usually with, like, I'm not going to go out by myself. I mean, in today's society, a girl in her, you know, early to mid 20s is not going to a bar by herself. She's going out with a bunch of her friends. So, like, and right now, again, we're at an age where I feel like we don't go out a ton. So, like, it is kind of like a special event to, like, put in the effort, get dressed up. I mean, I work remotely. I spend most of my days in my pajamas. So, like, having an actual reason to get dressed, put a little makeup on, can be kind of exciting. But I also think that I am much more of a stay-in kind of person than a go-out person. I would much prefer, like, a game night as opposed to, like, going to a bar. So
Yeah,
I think
how
I
are
would...
you gonna meet a random guy at a game night into your house?
No, I think I would, like,
They have bingo
I'd be
nights at
looking
Mohegan.
at different places. I think I would be more so going to coffee shops and...
Just sitting there waiting.
No, I'd bring a book. I bring a book, I bring my computer, I do some work, I also think that it's, you know, a lot of times, like, mutual friends. So, like, joining different like, you know, going to different Pilates classes, like, going to find different people, and every once in a while, like, you never know who knows who. Like, I think a lot of it is through
That's
mutual setups, not necessarily just some, you know, random Joe Schmo at a bar. But I also think, like, I don't know, but I've always been somebody that, like, when it came to, like, past relationships, I was always somebody that made the first move, because I am, again, impatient, and I was like, I'm not going to sit here and wait for you to come talk to me. If I'm interested, I'm going to go up and say something. So, but I think that again, it's
Well,
just going to
girl.
depend on the person.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's take it to the next step. So, you get a like, or do you guys match?
Mm-hmm.
What follows after that? So let's say you've talked for a day or so. What are the next steps usually go like?
Well, so I mean, my goal was always to get off of the app. Like I hated being on the app, and I would have wanted to just go out and meet you.
I think you invited me on a date the next day, which
Yeah.
was Valentine's Day. Mind you, we had sent like 3
Hey,
messages.
it's romantic.
I already had a date.
Yeah,
So I
somebody
just
beat
said
me to
no.
the punch. Yeah, look where that guy ended up.
Yep. But no, I think we chatted a little bit,
Yeah,
and
it
then
was like a few hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm interested, so I'm gonna ask her out. And so I did. Got rejected. And then and then I was on vacation. She had ended up getting COVID, so we didn't go out for probably a couple weeks afterwards.
yeah.
Um,
But we talked early on. You had asked for my phone number, and we actually talked on the phone a bit.
Like phone call
yeah. Like I just called
with
her
a
up.
random person.
I just called her
It
up.
was so funny too, because I was sitting on the couch with my younger sister, like watching a movie, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's calling me right now! Like, what do I even say?" And so I answered it because I was like, "Well, whatever. Let's see what happens." And you just like had asked me about like my day, and we talked about work, and you'd asked me about what I did, and I was telling you a little bit about clinical research. And my younger sister just goes, "Who are you talking to that's actually interested in what you're saying right now?" I was like, "Okay, ouch," but I don't know. No, like he was genuinely interested.
Yeah. So I mean, I hate texting. We still don't text really.
I do too, and I probably contribute that to one of my previous breakups.
Oh really?
Yeah.
We don't have to get into it.
Anyway.
Honestly,
This is about finding love, not the past.
Okay.
You know.
But I think that changes too, because I will say that was also one of like the reasons why I had a past breakup but it was a little bit of a different situation because like he also just wasn't really communicating at that point. And it was during college, and we were in different states, and that can be really hard to sustain. But there was really zero effort. I mean, there was no texts. It was with the time change, waiting up until 2 a.m. to get a FaceTime for it to be like, oh well, he's busy with the guys. So like I was like, okay, well, if you're just not gonna talk to me, then forget this.
No. I'm not saying not put in effort. I'm saying like texting specifically.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, we really don't text.
Yeah.
Unless we're like both really bored and it's like, oh, let's play
iPhone games or
yeah,
something.
8-ball
The
8-ball
pigeon
pool.
games. Yeah. That's pretty much
That's it,
Or like
yeah.
sending gifts back and forth.
Or like a quick, hey, I'm in Dunkin'. You want a coffee?
Yeah. Other than that, it's mainly calls and stuff.
I wish. Anyway.
But one thing, going back to like the overwhelming
steps.
options. No, taking a step back. Logan Ury actually talks to the romanticizer, the maximizer, and the sacrificer? Was it? Satisfizer. Never heard that word before, but
So
that's what she called it.
romanticize.
Romanticizer, maximizer, and satisficer. So the romanticizer is the person who's kind of what you're talking about, but it could be real life or over a dating app, is they're looking for that fairy tale moment to happen, that you hear like
It's me. I read a lot of romance books. It's fine.
fair enough.
Expectations are real fine.
But something that people have been saying lately, or at least I've heard it in like the past year, the meet cute.
Mm-hmm.
So basically where someone goes out and they both reach for like the last scone at the coffee shop, and then boom, love at first sight kind of feeling. And Logan Ury is like, yes, BS. Stop. Like it happens, but it's not as often as you would think, and people who get caught up in that can actually find themselves waiting around for a long time and missing out on some other opportunities to meet other people, just because it wasn't some fairy tale story or anything. That doesn't mean that it's doomed to fail. So that's the romanticizer. And then the maximizer is the opposite. They're still waiting around for something, but they're basically researchers. So they are looking at every single option, maybe going out with 6 or 7 girls, or vice versa, like girls going out with guys, or girls and girls, whatever, like 6 or 7 people at a time, because they can't make up their mind, and they're like, well, this is good about this person, but this is bad about them, and this is good, and this is bad, and this is good, and this is bad, and they're just over analyzing everything. So they're waiting for that perfect person that's been that's a figment of their imagination, basically, and they don't actually know what they want. And then the satisficer is the middle ground. So she says have a make it work mentality, basically. And so go out with somebody, like have deal breakers, but not everything's a deal breaker. So like if you say, well, I'd really like someone that's, you know, between 5'3" and 5'8", and you say, but am I actually gonna like not date someone if they're 5'9"? Am I actually not gonna date someone if they're 5'2"? Maybe that is a deal breaker for you, but in most cases, not really. But maybe if they have a pet snake or something, that's a deal breaker for you. I don't know. But
or
making
a rabbit.
I don't have a rabbit. We have a bouncer named Walter.
I love how you said we.
But basically, you know, keeping it at deal breakers and not just maybe red flags or something, and keeping your mind open to new things. And relationships are work, right? They're not easy. You see the easy things online and on social media, but in reality, they're work. Not everyone's happy 24/7.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think that any relationship is, I would say, easy, but even taking it away from, okay, there's hard times, who cares? I think like it's work. If you want to be with someone, you have to work to be with someone. And I think a lot of people nowadays like romanticize the fact that he's not for me or she's not for me, but I think it comes down more to you actually don't put the work in.
Right.
Love is more than a feeling. I think love is what you do if you want to be with someone. It's that vibe. It's more of a conscious decision than what it is a feeling.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I also think people think the grass is greener somewhere else, maybe. Like you hear that term in relationships where someone's like, oh, well, you know, they do this, I don't really like that, maybe I can find someone that doesn't do that. And it's that ability to kind of easily change almost in a society where we have dating apps and easy ways to meet people. And they actually did a study of people who were basically the satisficer study. And you say, okay, you have to send in a photo of yourself, and one group was able to change their decision for the next 2 weeks before it was finalized, and another group had to submit a photo, and that was it. And they found that the people who submitted the photo and couldn't change it actually were happier about their decision than the people who could change their decision. And even those who could change their decision and didn't were less happy than the people who were kind of well, this is what I chose, I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna, put in the work to make it good.
Yeah. Wait, so I think, let me just understand what you're saying here, is there was a study done between two groups where they basically had to submit a photo of themselves for a dating app, per se. For example. Sure. The one group had a week to change their photo, like keep uploading and changing the photo.
Correct.
And the other ones put on a photo and...
That was it. It was locked down.
It was locked in. And you're saying that those people were happier?
Yes.
Oh, why was that?
They say it's because those people who, had the ability to change and pick different ones overanalyzed the whole thing and basically found it harder to be happy with their decision than those who were said, give us a photo, and that's that. That's the one that you have.
On a different hand, though, do you think that maybe the group that was not able to change their photo, kind of knowing that going into it, were more critical about their decision to begin with, though? They knew, this is the photo I'm submitting, this is it. so I want to put my best foot forward. Whereas the people who, know that they have a week to change have less pressure on themselves. So maybe they're not taking the decision as seriously because they're like, okay, well, if I decide tomorrow that, that was the wrong photo, I can always change it.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, it's that initial decision making that kind of to your point of some guys, maybe they just got started with a dating app and threw up a couple pictures of themselves. And then after, I haven't gotten any likes or matches or anything. They've gone in and changed them to improve. But if they were said, this is your profile, this is what you have to go with, maybe more dating profiles would be a little bit better and people would be more confident about them and not feel the need to obsess over their pictures or their prompts or anything like that.
I feel like by the end of us, we're going to basically give a blueprint to create the perfect dating app.
It's Hinge, obviously.
Please sponsor us.
Please sponsor us. No, but it is, just having the mindset of make it work. You can figure it out and don't just give up when things are tough or you feel like, something might be easier somewhere else.
Yes. But also to that point, though, I think it's also, relationships require a level of emotional maturity to also know when it's okay to walk away. I think, knowing when, certain things aren't going to change or, you can put in as much work as you want, but at the end of the day, you can only control what you do. And if you're not going to get kind of any effort back, then it's also kind of having, the self-respect to say, I deserve better than this and being able to walk away too.
Yeah.
So not to say that, when you're in a relationship, you're stuck.
No.
At the end of the day,
no, I'm also. I forgot to preface this. I'm still in the getting ready phase.
Gotcha.
So we're not into the getting serious or like. You're definitely not stuck in a relationship. once you match with someone, that's it.
Yeah, locked in.
But just the thought of, try. Don't just go out and say, nah. I've got this match. I feel like a lot of people get a match. And that's when their excitement about it ends.
Yeah,
they're excited. Oh, this guy's really
Makes
cute.
Me feel good.
And then you like them, and then they match with you, and you're like, well, that was cool. But then nothing happens.
Yeah. What's that saying that like nothing worthwhile is easy? Like you have to put in effort to get, something that's actually worth something.
Yeah, definitely.
So, on your point too, I think talking about walking away. I think, personally, I experience dating as that phase where you're verifying and validating your choice. But I think if we're talking about not dying alone and things like that, after you get married, in my opinion, it becomes a lot. It's a commitment. It's literally a commitment. It's vows that you make to each other. If you go by what we say the normal marriage or way is, which is like interesting. That's where I was referring to. If you're like committing and things like that, then like commit.
Yeah,
definitely. But we got a little sidetracked. We were getting into what's the next phase. So let's say you get matched, you talk a little bit, you had your phone call. What's the dates like after that? Like when you start going on dates, and how does that usually go on blind dating like Tinder?
You want to take this one?
Well, so from like the female perspective, for me it was normally something with an easy out. So a drink, a cup of coffee, just to kind of go and see if it's there, like the connection's
Taking
there.
notes.
Yep. It was usually
the whole podcast is your notes.
It was usually meet there because you never know. Don't want to be stuck in a car with, a potential serial killer.
Or a guy who vapes.
Yeah, same thing. Yep. And I know normally for me and a lot of my friends that do online dating, it's also kind of having an easy fallback. So either having a friend who has your location, knows where you are, someone that sometimes will actually come to the restaurant and sit like in a separate booth just to be there. So like if you text SOS,
Have you done that?
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
With CJ?
No, not with CJ.
Not with me.
But we talked on the phone a lot leading up to the date. Because like I said, like you had said earlier, our schedules just didn't line up for a little while. So you were on vacation, I was on vacation, I got COVID. Like, so there was a couple of weeks there where we were, talking on the phone. I think we FaceTimed once or twice.
I think so.
And so it had gotten to the point where I felt comfortable enough with him that I was like, okay, I don't think he's going to kill me. And, well, if he tries, I think I can take him. So.
Whoa! What is that supposed to mean?
Like, I don't know. I just thought I could get away. So I was like, let's give it a go.
Timestamp? Kidding. No, yeah, I mean, I think to that point it is about kind of becoming comfortable with that person before you even meet them. In person, you can kind of find out a little bit about their personality. I think once you go on the date, though, you can't be... You have to go in with an open mind. I think a lot of people have bad experiences, and then they go into every date thinking, oh, this is going to be just another crappy first date or something. And, I like the saying where it's, if you think it's going to be good or you think it's going to be bad, you're going to be right. Like, you're going to be right either way. So if you go in with the mindset that this is going to be good, this is going to be a great first date, you're going to be right, maybe. If you go in with the mindset like, this is going to suck, this is going to be horrible, I'm going to hate this, I'm not even interested in this person, then you're probably also right. So you have to go in with that open mind, and she also talks to going in and listing positives. After the date, list the positives. Don't focus on the negatives, focus on the positives, and focus on the personality. So if they were really nice to the wait staff at dinner, then maybe that shows something about their personality, rather than, oh, well, they couldn't hold a conversation with me while like after 15 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just thinking of something, like maybe something came up in their mind. So you have to kind of keep an open mind when you're going on that first date.
This is kind of like a good place to pivot to Liel Lowndes' book, because the first part of the book, so it's 92 tips and tricks and things like that, but the first part is 10 or so tips, 9 tips, and she calls it how to intrigue anyone without words. So it's basically what you should do to be intriguing, or just be approachable, be attention worthy, without using any words. And like going in and sitting at a table, you mentioned that there was an awkward silence, things like that. There was a bunch of tips that she says that you can get by with things like that. But interestingly enough, one of the important ones I found, she says that people see straight through fake smiles. So if you tell a joke and like I smile and laugh immediately, there's almost less credibility. So her like tip is she calls it the flooding smile technique. All right. So the flooding smile means that almost like a flood rushing in. A flood is never bam fast, crash and burn. If you ever watched like a tsunami come in, it's always the slow push of water that like floods through the system. So she says to relax and just slow down your smile when you see someone, or if you're having a conversation, which gives a richer, deeper meaning towards it. So to not immediately like smile when you see someone, but to just like slowly like bring about a smile on your face, to increase the credibility of a thing on a date like that.
So like in the beginning, to slowly make a smile, so that if they do tell a really good joke and you light up, it gives more credibility to your actual smile, your actual laugh.
No, literally, it's people. Apparently, according to her, it's people feel that a slower smile means that you're actually thinking of what was said or things like that. So I'm still gonna smile at you, but not to like that's funny. Yeah. Like not immediately like, dude, like, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Because you're like actually taking the time to like process what that person's saying, like give it genuine thought.
It's not just a reaction.
Yeah.
It's an actual like you're intelligence thinking about it or something.
Yeah, it's like how they say, you know, you should always listen to understand as opposed to listening just to respond. Like if you're always just thinking about your response and not necessarily fully taking in what that person is saying, then, you know, it's not going to be as kind of constructive of a conversation. So especially when you're first meeting somebody, you really want to, you know, take the time to listen to what they're saying and understand where they're coming from. If it's, you know, even if it's something as light as like a joke, it's, you know, still giving them that courtesy.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. But first dates are always kind of interesting.
What do you mean?
I feel like there's always some expectations, or you always have to eat properly if it's a dinner date, for example.
I'm a messy eater no matter what. I just show my true colors right off the bat.
Take me as I
Do
am.
you like
not
this?
at all.
No? Okay, bye.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like, some people feel the need to, you know, put their best foot forward, on a first date. If you're a messy eater, you know, figure it out for one day. So, I mean, yeah, I get it. But I also feel like that goes into what Hannah was saying about being comfortable with the person prior to the date. You know, if you feel a little sense of comfortability beforehand, maybe you're less stiff, less awkward, less... Because, I mean, the more you're of yourself that you are, I feel like that's better. And if, you know, they have a problem with that, maybe they're not the right one, or maybe...
Yeah,
you know.
To that point too, sorry. Like what Jordan Peterson said in his book, 14 Rules to Life? 12 Rules to Life. He was speaking about posture and walking up straight with your shoulders back. Now, this is tip 4 in the book too, is the technique is, she calls it hanging by your teeth, where I'm not sure if I'm understanding it right, but she says to basically, like those trapeze artists, to act like you're biting on one of those swings and it's pulling your back straight and your shoulders back. which is maybe,
interesting.
I'm just trying to picture that.
No, but so I don't know if that's just like the comedic effect so people remember it.
I think it's working.
Yeah, but it's, you gotta look and feel important. And by looking important or feeling important comes from almost acting important. So don't be like a dweeb and be like, I'm the most important guy, but just act important, and that will just give you the confidence, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Well, I think also a lot of people put like pressure on themselves when it comes to a first date. Like, you know, there is kind of these, you know, first date jitters, these nerves, and, you know, sometimes you kind of close in on yourself. But I don't know, I think a really good way to approach dating is kind of just thinking you don't have anything to lose. I mean, it's an opportunity for you to meet somebody, and that can absolutely be scary and, you know, nerve-wracking. But I think going into it, thinking, you know, just see what happens, just be yourself. And at the end of the day, you know, what's the worst that can happen? It's not somebody that you want to, you know, share a life with. So be it. There, you know, are a ton of people out there. And so I think it's okay to go in with not a lot of expectations and just, you know, trying to put your best foot forward and see what happens. But I think the second you put pressure on yourself, that's when you're going to clam up, get nervous, get this anxiety.
Yeah.
And it'll show.
Yeah, and I think going on a first date, like, having activities to do while you're having the date. Like, it's not just, you know, dinner and talking the whole time. Like Logan Ury suggests going on dates where you're actually side by side rather than looking at each other, because people can get nervous and, you know, not really feel like they can open up. I know you were talking about eye contact with me like a couple days ago. So I feel like this kind of connects to that. But like just going on a walk for the date, or you know, going bowling or something where it's not I'm looking at you and you're looking at me and you feel kind of like awkward and there's pressure and you need to continue the conversation. Yeah. There's things to do in between, and there's other things going on around you that will also kind of tell about someone's personality.
Yeah. And to that point, so tip number 2 which I've told him like I've been starting to employ is the sticky eyes technique that they're saying. And just so everyone is on the same page, but sticky eyes technique is where you look someone in the eyes. I've always been told, my dad always told me to, like, even if any adult, you shake their hand and look into the eyes, or give them a hug and look into the eyes, and like, be respectful. And it's always said at like speeches or what do you call it, like courses, is to look someone in the eyes. But she goes a little bit further, where she talks about the sticky eyes technique, and where you gotta act like there's honey in your eyes, slowing your eyes down. So instead of just looking straight into someone's eyes and jumping to the game on TV and jumping back to the eyes, this basically fidgety, quick reactions, people see past that. People see that, like, you're putting in effort to make eye contact, but it's conscious effort too. So she says, like, if you employ the sticky eyes technique, she calls it personal grenades that can detonate emotion. So she says this might be good, but you should also be wary when you're using these grenades. And I'll get into that because sticky eyes is the act where you're looking at someone's eyes, but you'll slowly drift off. Like, it's almost a pain for you to stop looking at their eyes. So it brings about a sense that, oh my gosh, he can't take my eyes off me, or he can't take my eyes off me. So you slowly drift away if you need to look away, and you definitely drift back and make eye contact again. But she says for women, generally they experience the sticky eyes techniques with intimacy almost, so it's almost romantic in a sense. But with men, and it doesn't have to be romantic, it can be pretty, like, if you work in the corporate world, it can be pretty good to use. But she says to be wary about overusing this technique if it's man to man, because guys can see this almost as hostile, or they
like a challenge.
Or the opposite, where, like, straight guy thinks that you're seeing more. So then you become hostile and closed off. So yeah, I've been employing it, like I've been saying, and I think it's really been working. I've literally been, it feels much more sincere when you're having conversations. And then doing this, noticing how many other people don't look you in the eyes at all.
No, there's so many people that I talk to, and, you know, they're on their phone, or they're looking up at the sky or wherever, and I'm just looking them in the eyes, and I'm just watching them all over the place, except for like looking at me.
See, that drives me crazy. Like, especially if I'm having like a deeper conversation, whether it be like with a partner or like with just a friend, and if I'm trying to open up and be vulnerable about something, but they're kind of looking around and not like physically engaged in the conversation, then I kind of shut down, because I'm like, okay, well, if, you know, it almost seems like you don't want to listen,
right,
if you're not like fully in that conversation.
Yeah, I think eye contact is definitely very important, but it's also kind of weird. Like, I don't know any other animals that make eye contact. Like,
how do you know?
No,
Wait, what?
no, like that intimately. You don't
Again,
think so? Okay, just generally, like, cats only really make eye contact with other cats when they are fighting. Dogs only really make eye contact when they're fighting.
Right, they sniff each other's butts.
Yeah, when they're like happy. It's just an interesting thing that us humans do, don't you think?
Yeah. Do you think that's a sign of just like a deeper empathy and like compassion that other
I
animals
wouldn't go that far. I'm just saying it's interesting.
I have
no idea.
I have no idea, because I don't know if that's true. Like, I feel like other animals maybe do make eye contact, and
my dog Rosie, she makes really good eye contact. She looks into your soul. She really sees you.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, she does. especially when you like are about to give her a treat.
Fair.
Yeah. I don't know. Just maybe we do it a lot because we have conversations which take up a lot of time. Like I don't think I've ever seen like two dogs just look at each other's eyes for an hour or two.
Okay, yeah, for a long period of time. No, I don't think I've ever seen animals do that. Yeah, no, I don't think I have. But maybe, you know,
Yeah, there's a Guatemala
time is
snail out there that does.
you know, time is faster to them, right? So like dog years.
Yeah.
They could be looking at it for like 30 seconds, but really it was like an hour for them.
But also there's like a different innate sense. I mean, for animals it really is kind of the, you know, survival mode. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot more basic, like animalistic.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but
They need to keep an eye on their surrounding a little bit more.
Yeah.
Why is that though? Like, why do we separate ourselves? Anyway, we're going back to the philosophy.
Yeah, we're totally off track, and it's fine. We're vibing with it. We're blurring the lines
Yeah.
between
The philosophy.
animal eye contact and whatever the hell we do.
Relationships and- yeah.
But I think that's a good point about, you know, some animals are prey,
Yeah.
and they're, you know, maybe they. Yeah, I'd love to look at you right now, but I'm about to get eaten by a hawk,
But
so
yeah.
I'm trying to like.
It's like
look
head on a
around.
swivel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas humans, you know, we're higher up on the food chain.
We can chill.
Yeah, we can chill. I can look at you for a while and not.
Not die.
Hopefully, no one's sneaking up behind me. So.
Yeah. That's interesting. And then to this thought too, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. It's not in the book. This is just something I heard when I was like 15 or something. Is that looking into someone's eyes can sync your heartbeats? Have you ever heard that?
No.
Yeah.
You have?
I have.
Okay, so I'm not just like making it up.
No,
here.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So if apparently, fact check definitely, but apparently, if you're staring into someone's eyes, for some reason, the two people staring at the eyes, their heartbeats will sync up, and your heart will start beating at the same time.
Interesting. We should test that out.
Me and you?
Yeah. Not right now, but we could test that out.
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a cool test, and I've like tried it when I had a girlfriend, but it's also hard to do because you have to be like.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know how you'd do it, but we'll figure out a way.
Let us know in the next episode.
Yeah.
We'll circle back.
Yeah.
Or if you guys try it at home, let us know in the comments. It'd be interesting to hear if it's fact or fiction.
Yeah. Then jumping on to the next point too. So this is all like tips and tricks that basically could be applied to a first date. And it's still under part 1. And she says to limit the fidget.
I'm screwed.
Yeah, she goes about telling this whole
I've
story.
been fidgeting with this pencil the entire time we've been talking.
I know, and like, I'm all ADHD myself, and I definitely fidget a lot, and it's kind of bad. And I've always been told to like stop fidgeting and things like that.
Mhm.
In my brain, I'm like, it's like, screw you, like I want to fidget, but it's like why stop? So
That's
much?
a quote. We should get that on a sweatshirt. Screw you, I want to fidget.
And there's so many like fidget toys out nowadays too.
They're
There's a
like
whole
promoting
market.
it.
Yeah,
They're promoting it.
So, I don't know why, but for some reason, people experience fidgeting as the loss of credibility. So, she explained this whole story about Nixon versus JFK, and I kind of wanted to go look it up. And she was saying that Nixon was winning the the race.
Mhm.
I think they were two competing presidents or
Okay, candidates. Yep.
whatever you call it here. But she made a really interesting point where Nixon had objectively like the better speeches and things like that, but he couldn't like stop like touching his nose, touching his face, touching his ears, scratching, things like that, which she said like explains that people perceive this as it's the loss of credibility. So JFK was like proper presidential, things like that, never touched his face. And going off that, if you're in a important situation or an important state or a first date, she says to do not touch your face for any reason. You will lose credibility immediately. She says, this itch that you have in your eye that you really need to scratch, stop it, deal with it. You can go to the bathroom and deal with it there.
I feel it's like power of suggestion. I've touched my face like 6 times since you started talking.
Yeah, but that's a super interesting point where I'm like, I did not know that at all. And she sounds like she really emphasizes this, like bringing in presidents and like candidates and things like that to, you can really lose credibility if you're fidgeting, especially if you do face touching.
Is it because it's like shows nervousness, or like if you're supposed to, your last point was act confident or be confident in yourself, and if you're fidgeting, maybe it looks nervous, maybe you look like you're not as confident in what you're saying.
Yeah.
Believe what you're saying.
She compares it to someone telling the truth. You'd be relaxed and things like that. But if you ever, they call it in poker. What do they call it? Your
poker face.
Your poker face is your straight face.
Yeah.
But then there's your tell.
Oh yeah.
When you're lying, so people perceive like face touching as a tell.
I also think like
Like
excessive
subconsciously,
fidgeting,
like I don't think people are like, oh, you're touching your face.
lying. Yeah.
Lying.
Liar.
No, but I also think that, excessive fidgeting can also just be distracting. So, I mean, it can kind of take away from the content of what you're saying. So, like, if you're, if you have some, really powerful information to share, but all of a sudden you're doing all these different things and,
Fixing
like,
ponytail.
then, like, your audience gets pulled away from what you're saying. And then they're looking at, she's fixing her hair. He keeps touching his nose. Like, why? What's going on? And it distracts you enough to kind of lose that connection that you've made with the actual content of what you're saying.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I think that's very true, because if someone starts fidgeting with something, like, I get distracted very easily in general. So never mind if someone is talking about something and then they're, grabbing something and there's sounds in other places. I'm definitely getting distracted by whatever else is happening, and I'm not listening to, what you're saying and the information that you're giving me.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point.
And as somebody who also, has the ADHD brain, and I also feel the need to move, but because I react, because I'm very aware of the way I react when someone else is fidgeting, I've kind of adjusted the way that I fidget, in that it's always in my feet. Like, I am constantly wiggling my toes or something, and that's my way of getting it out. Well, I feel like I can still keep myself composed to what others can see. So, I can sit here with my mug and chat, and, sometimes I'll move my hands, because that's how I like to talk. Yeah. But
I'm just Italian.
the entire
time... that's actually... that's a tip, too. I can find it if you give me a second. But she says when you're talking is to, I think she called it mood match or something like that. But to use your whole body. If you're telling an interesting story, is to make the point.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
It seems almost counterintuitive.
No.
What's the difference between
fidgeting,
me moving my hands and for you, you're probably looking at my hands and what I'm doing and maybe what I'm pointing at or something like that, or thinking I'm pointing at something, but it's actually a figment of what I'm talking about.
Because it adds to the content. It backs up what you're saying, as opposed to fidgeting is something totally separate.
Your whole body becomes engaged in the conversation. So you're delivering your message with your body. Whereas if you're fidgeting, you're delivering a message, but your body is doing something else.
They're not connected. So it almost seems mindless. So it's okay, how much so how much thought are you really putting into what you're saying? Whereas when you're putting your whole body into it, it's a little extra emphasis. You're
Fair
passionate
enough.
about it, you feel confident about it, you know what you're talking about, and you can deliver it with this authority.
It's just the Italian side, that gabagool I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good point.
Yeah. So the next part, obviously I'm skipping over a bunch of tips and tricks and whatever, but the
It's good flow.
part two of this book is what to say after hi. So let's say you walked up to someone first time date, or if you really just walked up to someone to meet them, like how to talk to anyone, and what do you do after you say hi? Like, it's easy. You can have your posture, you can have eye contact, everything. Walk up to them, say hi, then what? So what are your go-tos?
How are you? I mean, yeah, I don't know.
What's your name? If this is a total stranger.
Oh, that's true. What's your name? Yeah, I guess it depends. Do I know the person or am I
No, random person.
totally random? Crazy weather we're having, huh?
Yeah. Okay, so that's honestly perfect because the first tip on the section.
Wait, well, you didn't go. What do you know?
I said, what's your name?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
The first tip of the section is to basically mood match. So they say, like, as you're walking up, take like a voice sample of what is going on and who you're talking to. So if they're excited, be excited. If they're like down or just melancholy, like mood match, like, hey,
Yeah.
how are you doing? And stuff. And
I'm horrible at that.
don't mismatch, because mismatching will basically ruin your chances. And
I am awful at that because I'll walk over to someone and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they're like, "Hi." And I'm like, "How's your day going? Like, are you having a good time?"
Yeah.
when your mom's in the hospital.
Yeah, and
Which
Yeah.
makes for very interesting dynamic because I'm someone who's very in tune to like what
Others
I don't
are
know, energy
experiencing.
or what that someone
Yeah.
else is giving off. Yeah. Like I am a very strong empath. So,
yeah.
you know, without even saying anything, I can kind of just feel how somebody else is feeling. So sometimes that can be a source of struggle.
Uh, it is what it is, for the most part. But after you've done mood matching, so basically first thing is like, don't go screaming and shouting if they're sad.
Yeah.
But then the second step of the section is to, I think she calls it prosaic with passion. So she says, this is why I said your thing is perfect. Like, how's the weather?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's because it does not matter like what you say, but like how you say it. And it doesn't matter like what you start with, but how you start.
Mm-hmm.
So she says like pickup lines are perfect, because no one is gonna remember the first sentence you said to them, really. So you can literally just start with like, "Damn, I wish there were some kittens that we can pet," or something random. like if you're meeting someone random, you can
Yeah.
literally say the most absurd thing,
Within reason.
within
Yeah.
reason.
Disclaimer.
But like after that, if you start making conversation, she or he would just immediately forget that.
Mm.
So it's just to like go say something. She says use pickup lines. Like, pickup lines nowadays are like so absurd.
Yeah.
Like, there's some actually really absurd ones, but after you started saying something and like the conversation started, then they'll basically forget about it. So it also, what I took from this is like, don't be afraid to just like start speaking. Like,
Yeah.
Just go for it. Shoot your shot.
you shoot your shot. Just
Yeah.
go say hi, shoot your shot.
Absolutely.
I think that's good advice in general. You know, people are always scared to go up and talk to somebody. But it is, I think, you know, sometimes you can read that. Like, if someone is immediately shutting you down and turning away, like, that's not a sign to continue talking to that person. Like, if they're interested, or, you know, you can tell, and you can continue a conversation with someone that's genuinely interested in what you have to say. Or if they're like, "No, I'm good," and then like goes and does something else,
Yeah.
leave it be. You know, read that
It's-
situation.
Very much so, reading body language and kind of meeting someone where they are.
So what tip would you give if a guy wanted to go over to a girl in a bar or at book club?
I would say like, definitely just be yourself. And I know that's, like, so cliche and it's what everybody says, but, you know, the more authentic you can be, the more that will come across. Because the second you come up and you're trying to be all, you know, tough guy, whatever, to show off, that comes across very quickly. And then, let's be honest, it's going to end up being kind of a joke between her and her friends. So it's like, the more authentic you can be, the better off you're going to be. The better impression you'll make.
Yeah, but what if it's like not in your character to just walk up to someone and say hi, but Beatrice, my future wife, is right there and I need to.
Well, so then...
What's her tip then? It's not in my character.
You could also, like, use a friend to kind of break that ice. So,
I
like,
know. Roll up a note and then throw it at her. And then it says,
no.
Do you like me? Yes or no?
No. But, like, for example, like, in the show How I Met Your Mother, Barney always he can go up to anybody because he has that kind of confidence where he can go talk to anybody at a bar. And he'll go up and he'll say, hey, have you met Ted? And then just casually introduce the friend that is a little bit more reserved and doesn't necessarily have the confidence to go up to anybody and consider, like, the ice broken. And then, you know, usually it's like, okay, hey, like, how's it going? And then it is just being your authentic self. You know, what are you drinking? What are you up to? Like, are you here with friends?
Buy a suit.
No.
Step 2.
Step 1, make a friend.
You're right, we're coworkers, we're not friends.
But I think it's, you know, if you don't have that confidence, I think that's, you know, totally okay. And, you know, you don't necessarily always have to be the one to break the ice. Also, another thing could be, like, eye contact. If you can show from across the bar that you're interested, like, if you make eye contact with the same girl a couple of times, like we notice. Like, we notice when you see somebody, like, from across the room, like, look at you a couple of times. Not like a creepy way.
Just looking at everybody.
No, but, like...
Keeping a tally of how many times one girl has looked at... Okay, this one... Oh, that's a 6. 6 over there. 6 times we've made eye contact.
No, but, like, if it's somebody that, like, you notice has noticed you, and, like, it doesn't even have to be go up to her and say something. Like, even just, like, a smile from across... Like, can start that connection, and maybe she has the confidence and she'll go up to you.
Speaking about confidence and going up to you, and I think nowadays it's... If we're talking about, like, guy and girl meeting at a bar type of thing, it is more predominantly expected that the guy should go up to the girl and start a conversation, generally speaking. And the tip that she also leaves here is she calls it a what's it. So, I know it's a funny phrase, a what's it. Like, I think she purposefully, like, made these, like, so interesting and funny so that you remember it. Because a what's it
Holiday hoopy what?
That's what I was thinking.
is basically a thing that you wear that causes a what's that reaction. So
like a feather boa.
Yes, perfect. Or a funny hat, or more commonly nowadays people wear, like, your sports team. So someone can walk up to you, like, ask what's that, or hey, Eagles.
We're a Patriots household. That's okay.
And that's it starts a conversation. So it's like actively wearing something or carrying something or doing something to promote the conversation. Yeah. If you want. Which is actually a pretty cool tip.
So that's really interesting because it's almost like I'm okay with people coming to talk to me because I'm wearing, you know, a Komodo in the middle of the bar. And, you know, not a lot of people are doing that. So that's something that people might comment on.
Well, we were just in Boston a couple weekends ago, and there were a couple of girls who, I think they did this more so to not lose their phones for, you know, a drunk night out. But on their phone cases, they would put, like, these absurd objects. Like, this one girl had a fish that was, like, this big. Like a toy fish, just on her phone, and another girl had
a frying pan.
Like just random stuff, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, like that's so funny!" And like people would go up and have conversations with them. So that's like definitely a point that works.
Yeah, and to this point, it's when I read this, I'm like, now it makes sense. So it's the start of a conversation and things like that, and I think one of the best what's it's you can have. Coming to America is an accent. Oh my gosh. The amount of times I was like, yeah, no, I'm not British or Australian. And then dives into this whole story of like, where are you from? Like,
Yeah.
Definitely.
where are you-
Oh, absolutely.
It's like the easiest. Like I've basically got it like on autopilot already.
Yeah.
And girls eat that up. A good accent? Oh, yeah.
That's bad. You lose it every time. Oh well.
Can't win them all.
But I mean, it's also interesting because Logan Ury also talks about that from a dating app perspective. So if you are looking at a person's profile and you notice something small and obscene in the scene that they have, maybe it's like something in the background, and maybe it's like a pig or something, and you say, oh, like, do you live on a farm? Or something that is not the main focus of the picture. So picking out something that catches your eye and shows that you're paying attention to their profile, and you're not just, you know, like, oh,
Yeah.
you're pretty, oh, you're cute. Those are kind of lame. So if you can find something in the profile, and I mean, I think that I've done this too, and just find something that's kind of out there on their profile, even if it's maybe one of their prompts or something, and come up with something that you think is going to be, you know, individualistic, where they haven't heard this before. You're the first one to actually notice this. It catches their eye.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a what's it on.
And what's that?
Yeah. A what's it on dating apps.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get into, like, because we've started with like the first date, and now moving into the second section of getting out there. Logan Ury talks to different attachment styles, and she says that this is important for those people who are trying to make a relationship, find a relationship, and kind of the reasons why you may not be in a relationship. And there's the anxiously attached, the avoidantly attached, and the securely attached. So they did a study with babies, basically, and I forget exactly what happened, but basically a kid was put into a room with their mother, and then the mother left, and the baby started crying, and then came back, and the baby was still crying because that baby was afraid that the mother was going to leave again. So that would be like the anxiously attached person. So you're kind of afraid of losing somebody, or afraid of being abandoned, that you're struggling to, you know, keep that person around because you're actually pushing them away, and you're kind of closed off to that person. And then another baby was what was it? I forget what happened to the second baby, but the avoidantly attached person is basically afraid of rejection. So they're again closed off. They push people away and have and don't want any commitment. Whereas the anxiously attached person is like, I need you to stay around. Like I don't want to lose you. All this kind of stuff. But that can actually push someone away too, in another sense. And then the securely attached person is someone who's, you know, I'll take my own space, I'll take my own time, you take your time, we'll have our together time, and it's more of, you know, you're happy in that relationship, there's a balance. So I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting, and I feel like it makes sense for a lot of relationships where there's people who are, you know, that, I guess the anxiously attached are kind of like the clingy type, and then the avoidantly attached are those who are just kind of shut off, have the wall up, and are just like, no, I'm good, and break it off after
Would you
like.
call that attachment though? Avoiding the attached.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a juxtaposition, honestly.
It kind of is. I mean, it's just attachment theory is what they call it. So it's just the 3 types of attachment styles.
It's like you could still be in the relationship, but when it comes to more major commitment, they'll shy away from it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be like the next step after dating.
It's kind of all part of dating.
Okay.
Because dating
That's
is
super interesting because, like, me and my most recent relationship, there was definitely some anxiously attachment within our relationship, which is I wish it was a lot more securely attached.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate goal. And a lot of people that struggle with an anxious attachment style or an avoidant attachment style, I think that stems from some sort of need that wasn't met, whether it be through childhood, in a previous relationship, kind of in any state in their life where, you know, they felt abandoned or they felt that they couldn't necessarily rely on somebody else. So, you know, they kind of put up this wall where they don't necessarily let people in to the extent that, you know, people would like to be, but that's their kind of defense mechanism. And it's, you know, getting into a healthy, secure relationship where you can learn what that secure attachment style is and eventually achieve that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard. It takes work. Probably some therapy. Everyone should be in therapy.
I'm like, this is like a side quest or a side note.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like awed at how many people struggle with anxiety nowadays.
Yeah.
It's honestly like scary how many of like my friends are actually take meds for anxiety. Yeah. It's absurd. Like, I don't know where we went wrong.
Well, I would actually counteract that and say that it's always been an issue. It was just never talked about. Like a lot of people always had anxiety, but it was this kind of taboo idea where you didn't talk about it. You just shoved it down and you kept it to yourself and nobody else knew. Whereas in today's society, I think it's become a lot more accepted in a way where people are talking about it. They're talking about their struggles. They're going to therapy. They're, you know, talking to their doctor about what their options are. I think, you know, it can get taken to an extreme for sure. But I think it's just been brought more into the light than it used to be.
Yeah, I don't mean to like frown down or look down at it at all. Just observation at how many of my friends need anxiety meds. And I don't know, I feel like it might be in the like world we live in now, and I know a lot of people blame the type of environment and type of the world we live in now, but like, damn, like, I feel like just go on a hike, you'll clear your mind.
Well, that's the thing. I think we are like slaves to our screens. I mean, social media, I think, plays a huge role in that. Yeah. And comparing, you know, your behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. So you're taking, you know, your struggles, your internal pain and suffering, and you're comparing it to what someone's posting on Instagram, which is always going to be, you know, the shiny, happy parts of their life. So that can be really difficult to manage.
Yeah, which is why I'm, you know, I obviously don't know. I wasn't born, but born. Yeah. Like, I wasn't born then. Like back in. Whatever.
Oh, you didn't say that.
Yeah.
I haven't been born yet.
Very Sean Cullen.
Yeah, it was. So before our time, I just wonder how much anxiety actually did play a role in things, and is it so much that we're talking about it more, which I agree that we are, or is it that things outside of ourselves are changing and growing, and, you know, social media, new technologies are happening that maybe are creating a more anxiety-ridden environment.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think like a big factor that adds to anxiety too is if you don't like look perfect or whatever, and or for example, you look fat in a photo and your friend posts that, the whole world knows immediately.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of always have to like give your best self.
Yeah.
Not even for your own profile, but for like
for other people that are gonna post that.
Every single photo, which takes a second to take and a second to upload, things like that. And I feel like that also just adds to.
Definitely, because you're always constantly thinking about it. Like, oh, did so and so post a picture from last weekend? And again, that goes back to, you know, it's the internet. Everybody can find anything on it, and
when it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah, so they're looking.
For example, this is also like a meaningless gesture, but like a friend posted like a highlight reel this past week, and it's a good friend of mine, and as I'm sliding, it's like I see all my friends too, and like everyone, and I'm like, oh damn, like there's not one of me. Yeah. And I immediately feel bad. I'm like, oh, damn, this sucks. And I slide over, and the last photo is just me and him So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but it also shows like different activities that, you know, you might not have been included to. Like similarly enough, like I was scrolling a couple weeks ago and saw that, you know, a bunch of my friends had gone into the city for, you know, to go see the Christmas tree and do some shopping and everything. And, you know, I had missed the invite. And so it was, you know, seeing them all and it was like, oh, okay, how come I wasn't invited? You know, and then of course all of the thoughts start, all of the anxieties hit, you know, was it me? Was I not, like, why wasn't I invited? Was I not good enough? Are they mad at me? Is something going on? And it snowballs.
Yeah, that's so true.
And it's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
But it's also so valid. I mean, people.
It is.
Yes,
No. It is valid to have those feelings because it's, like, it hurts. You know, if it, you know, it feels like even a less prime example, but you know, if you're say 20 and you're drinking with a friend and you're underage, but somebody takes a picture, or like you're constantly thinking, is someone going to take a picture of me and post it? Like, this can't be seen anywhere. That automatically builds that thought of like anxiety, and you're thinking about it all the time and constantly. So it's, yeah, are my friends out doing something that I wasn't invited to, or that FOMO? So there's so many things that social media brings that increases anxiety for what? They, like, people could go and do whatever and never post it and no one knows and whatever. But because they post it, everybody knows, and you know, you can feel the effects of that. Yeah. But like, you could take pictures with your family and stuff, and yeah, maybe you don't look great in a picture or something, but it's just with your family, no one sees it, and 30 years down the line you see that picture again, like, it's fine. But when it's something that you're self-conscious about and it gets posted, then you know, you can feel the effects of that.
I do think that the rapid spread of information because of technology is probably a cause of anxiety.
Yeah,
it's almost surreal.
Well, think about
like, it's a little more personal story, but I had a friend who, she was breaking up with her boyfriend at the time, and she was talking to him about something, and I don't remember the exact details about it, but she said it, like, some silly things, like actually silly, but the guy told his best friend, who was in the same room with his girlfriend. His girlfriend told a bunch of her friends what this girl breaking up, let's just use like pseudonyms, like Jane broke up. Like, Johnny's girlfriend told a bunch of her friends. A bunch of her friends told other people, and within 20 minutes of what has happened, the other friends, like this last group of people, asked her if that actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, wow. When she told me this story and like showed me like the like timelines, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, nothing we do and say is like really private anymore, if you have.
No, and I mean, just think about like COVID or weather or anything else. Like, people get anxious when they watch the news based on world events and things that are happening on like 30,000 miles away from them, and maybe won't even affect them, but they're sitting on their couch and they're seeing it and they're like, well, what if that happened here? What if that happened to me? Is that a possibility? What's going on? Yeah. Maybe I should just go to sleep. You know, there's so many things that information spreads, and especially text messages, and how fast I can tell somebody who maybe someone's looking over their shoulder and sees that,
the whole world knows.
Or they're, you know, with a bunch of people and they're like, hey, look who's calling me right now. It's CJ, like, let's all talk to him. And now it's a bigger group of people that is hearing that information.
Yeah, and that can also be really hard, especially like in the situation that you had brought up, you know, when it is a private event and it, you know, both parties need time to process that, and kind of share that on their own time when they're ready. So, you know, because of the ease of access to this kind of information, how it can just so easily be spread, whether, you know, be via like text messages, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it may be, you know, you lose a sense of, I don't know, like grief almost. Like you need time to like process those things, but you're not even allowed that because, you know, it's going to get around in 20 minutes and then everyone's going to be hounding you. So like you're not even allowed that time, that, you know, that courtesy of getting to process things in whatever way you need.
Yeah. That's one thing too, is like my last breakup is, it was our relationship and we made, like, I made sure it was our relationship, not me and all my friends.
Yeah.
So like, no one, like, people knew, but no one really like talked about it, things like that.
Yeah.
We kept it like, yeah, like, it was our relationship, top vibes. Which I'm actually really thankful for. There was no external inputs from other people.
Yeah.
Which cause hassle. I feel like nowadays everyone has something to say about every relationship.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
It's so annoying to me. I really don't get it. If two people are in a relationship like yourselves, I'm not gonna get in between there for any reason, except if I know like CJ's cheating on you or something like that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like some
No.
major things. Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Get in there.
Yeah.
And I feel like too many people like pride themselves in their friends' relationships and causes more breakups.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially, you know, I think sometimes people tell other people something and they're validating like your own feelings, and when really just you have to go and talk to like your partner about those things or about what's going on, rather than, you know, hearing it from an outside source that, and then maybe finding another person to talk to about whatever's going on. I don't know, you can end up just, you know, beating around the bush, and maybe you're okay with something because you got external validation about it, but your partner's not okay with it, and therefore, you know, there's some kind of strain there.
Yeah. But also I think it can be difficult when, you know, people are just giving this kind of, these unsolicited opinions, and, you know, it can be a super strong, secure relationship, and for whatever reason, you know, they start planting these seeds of doubt. And, you know, I think in a lot of cases, you know, depending on who it is that's saying it, you can easily brush it off and just be like, you know, your opinion's irrelevant to me. But if it's somebody kind of close to you that, you know, you care about their opinions, then, you know, even though your relationship could be what appears to be kind of rock solid, but all of a sudden it's like someone just took a teeny tiny hammer and just started kind of chipping away. And that can just grow because of social media and anxieties, and then people are overthinking, and it does kind of snowball sometimes.
Definitely.
Like, to summarize, I almost feel that it's my duty as a friend to, not duty, but like I'm there to like help, guide to my friends, give guidance, give advice, say no, say yes, before they're dating. But like once they like start dating and stuff, they've technically made commitments to each other.
Yeah.
Then I'm like totally like withdrawn from their personal relationship.
Yeah, I also think, you know, going back to dating apps and stuff, like people have asked me, you know, oh, what do you think of this girl? And my answer is usually, she's cute. Because, you know, I'm not going to say that, you know, if she's attractive to me or if not, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And
Not at all.
what am I saying? No, she's actually really not attractive. And like you actually did think that she was. Like, what does my opinion matter? But you're going to be hurt by it.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to take that into account when you're thinking about it. And so I'm going to say, she's cute. And that's it. And, like, take that how you want it. Like, knowing that information, that's what I'm going to say. It doesn't mean one thing or another, but I don't think that my opinion should matter about who you think is attractive or not.
Unless there's some, like, big glaring red flag.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, big glaring thing about ugliness.
No. Like a red flag. Like, you see somewhere on their profile that they're, like, I don't know, killing puppies or something. Like,
Jesus.
like you should. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, you should support them and let them
Chill.
make the decision for themselves. Yeah. Like everybody likes different things about people. Everyone has different priorities in a relationship.
Yeah.
And you should be supportive and let your friends explore what it is they think they want. And, they might come to the conclusion, hey, this wasn't the right person for me. Or, this person brings a lot of, things to the table that I really like and I want to see how that goes. And ultimately your job as a friend is to be supportive and to listen.
See, that's another good thing, though. I mean, it does tie back to the book, but I think that it's just a good point in general, is go on dates.
Yeah.
People have, like, this criteria in their mind, this checklist of, oh, this is good, oh, they don't fill this. Yeah.
$1 million.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And
owns a house, owns a boat.
Yeah, and they're swiping right on maybe 6 people. Oh, those 6 people didn't like you back, but you swiped left on 50.
Yeah.
And like some of those 50, maybe they didn't check all the boxes, but give it a chance. Maybe that's not a deal breaker for you. So go out and try to go on as many dates as you can with people, not all at the same time, but like go out and, I mean, I'm big in science, so go get data. Go build up your data set and say, all right, it is a deal breaker if someone's 5'2". That's like, it feels weird to me to be towering over someone like that. Maybe that is a deal breaker. I'm just throwing stuff out there. But people setting their criteria so strict when they need to go on dates, they need to experience different things and different people.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I will say though, like the one thing that I would kind of counteract would be, you say not at the same time, but I think it's okay to have a phase in your life where you are just actively dating. And like I think society has gotten, I don't know, a little weird about like labeling things, and like there's always like the talking stage and the dating stage, but like until you've had a conversation with somebody until you've had a conversation with somebody that like this like we are going to be in a committed relationship, I think it's okay to like go on dates and meet different people and see what you're working with. Like we had a period of time of a couple of weeks where we were still actively seeing other people, until we had that conversation of okay, we've been talking for a little while, we've gone on these dates, we've gotten to know each other, are you still actively looking for something else, or do we really want to see where this goes?
Right. And I think like when I said not all at the same time, I'm thinking
group dates,
if
bachelor style.
No, but if you're like I wouldn't say set up a date for every day of the week.
That's
maybe
just exhausting.
Why not?
That's a lot, and that's
but if you can handle it,
Oh yeah, to each their own.
I don't know. I think you need time to take in each date and each personality, and time to think about this is like these were the good things about this person, and well, one, going on 7 dates, you're probably gonna end up broke. But
if you're a guy.
No, we split our first date.
Whoa.
Yeah, we
Nice.
we went to we went to Chipotle, and then we went to Pancheros. So background, I said that Chipotle was.
This is your first date?
This was the first date. So she had told me that Pancheros was better than Chipotle. I had never heard of Pancheros in general. So I said, no, Chipotle is better because that was my favorite. And so we went to Chipotle, and I bought the Chipotle because that was my choice. And then she bought Pancheros because that was her choice. And then we brought them both to Pancheros and ate them in the booth, and like got a bowl from each place and some tortillas, and made little burritos in the corner, and then compared them side by side. Another activity for the date besides just talking and getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And then I lost. Pancheros is superior, and I ate it for 2 weeks straight, like the next 2 weeks, because I found one by work. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we walked around Home Depot. So we got our walking in, like Logan Ury said.
Well, because we were gonna go. The conversation was going so well that we just decided to go get some margaritas at Chili's. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, there was a wait that night at the Wallingford Chili's. Yeah, there was a wait. So in that same plaza, there was a Home Depot. And we said, well, let's go walk around and, continued our chat in the lighting aisle and then by the 2x4s.
Yep. and then went and had margaritas.
Yeah.
Nice. It sounds lovely.
It was. It was a good first date. It was definitely a memorable one.
Yeah. And then sung Chris Daughtry on the way home.
Yep.
What was that?
Chris Daughtry. He won American Idol. Did he win?
No
Was he a
idea.
runner-up?
I
was
think
on
he
American
was a
Idol.
runner-up, actually.
He was on American Idol
Yeah.
a couple years back. Many years back.
Many years.
Sorry, Chris. You're not old.
Not old. You're still amazing.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it's time to employ some of these techniques for me at least now. Since single, if anyone wants to mingle,
I will say,
open
though,
invites.
I don't think it's a bad thing to be single, though. I think it's a good time, too, to explore, you know, new interests and hobbies, especially as, like, you get into different stages of your life. You know, like, there was a period of time where, you know, I was in a relationship, and it was, like, kind of during college, and then, you know, we had broken up, and COVID had hit, and there was a lot going on in the world, and it was just kind of, okay, like, I need time to, like, reset and figure out, like, who I am outside of a relationship. Because, I mean, when you're in a relationship, you have to, I don't know, there's a lot of compromise. There's a lot of, like, giving yourself to somebody else. So it's taking that time to kind of recenter and figure out what's important to you. You know, maybe trying new things, trying new hobbies, you know, traveling, exploring, and, you know, seeing what the world has to offer before, you know, recommitting yourself to a new person.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
To your point, like, talking about different phases, and I feel like we just entered the young adult first job working phase,
Yeah.
which is honestly, it's probably one of the toughest phases. So I've got two older brothers, and both of them warned me that this was probably one of the hardest points of their life.
Yeah.
It's when you have to work 9 to 5, basically.
Yep.
And you have to give all these hours, and you're in one place. You go home, and then you sleep, and then it's just.
And you have to sustain by yourself or start living by yourself. You're out of college, like all your friends that
all your
you
good
made
college friends that you spent 4 years are everywhere. All
literally
over.
could be from anywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of transition. I mean, everybody kind of takes these next couple of years a little bit differently. Everyone's got different priorities, so a lot of times friends can also change. And I think, you know, everyone talks about how hard, like, a romantic relationship breakup can be, but nobody really talks about the struggle behind a friendship breakup, which I would argue can be 10 times harder.
Really?
Yeah. A friendship breakup can be devastating. I mean, it's somebody, like, because you never really expect it. Like, a relationship.
Wait, you mean like breakup, like actually like have a fight, a falling out or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Or not even necessarily a falling out, like a full, like, hard, like, okay, we're not friends anymore. Because it can also be like a gradual thing where one day you just realize, like, this person who used to be so prominent in my life, who, you know, was like the first person I'd call when something good or bad would happen, like the person that, you know, there were plenty of nights where we, you know, cried together and opened up about, you know, some really deep things, all of a sudden just isn't a part of your life anymore. And,
Yeah,
you know, it kind of can happen gradually, and then you just kind of realize it one day. And that can be really hard. And I think that happens a lot at this particular stage of life because friendships can often be based on convenience. So, like, in high school, it's, you know, the people that you're in classes with, it's the people who you do extracurriculars with, it's like who lives next door to you, who's nearby and available. Same thing in college. It's similarly who your roommates with, who's in your dorm, again, what activities you're in. And so then as you move into this next stage, things shift again, and, like, the convenience isn't always there, or you know, people have different types of jobs with different schedules, and unless it's a secure enough relationship where, you know, you can go an extended period of time without talking and then, you know, get together for drinks and, like, catch up like no time has passed, you know, unless it's that kind of secure friendship, a lot of times they can fizzle out without even realizing it.
Yeah, I think, well, at least my experience now and what, like, my older siblings have said is that it's hard because it's hard to make time if your friends are at different places too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't really see them like as much as you do, and it's hard because now you, like we said earlier, you have to, like, physically, like, go out, go search for an activity that you want to do, to, like, go meet new people or make new friends and things like that.
Or even if you want to sustain a current friendship, sometimes it's like, okay, we have to schedule a time to get together. I have to actively put it in my calendar, and we have to make it we both have to make an active effort to see each other. Otherwise, we just won't.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, I had a friend move down to Florida, and I used to see him, every other day, or he lived 10 minutes away, so it was super convenient, super easy, and now he's all the way down in Florida, so that's, I see him maybe once a year, and that's since he's moved down, so it's pretty recent still. So who knows, 10 years from now, is it still going to be like that, or is the distance going to become, a little bit too much? And if you have, I'm lucky enough to only have one friend that's really far away like that. But if you have 5, 10, 15 friends that are all in different places, you know how expensive that can be to go see every single one of them once a year even.
Yeah. Also, it gets difficult when, we are at a stage in life where people are getting married, people are starting to have kids, and that can really shift things. So, like, your married friend might not want to go to a bar on a Friday night. Like, they have kids now, they have other responsibilities, and so, like, they're not going to prioritize, going clubbing or whatever.
Yeah, that also kind of adds to the anxiety front too, because
true. You feel like pressure.
I'm like this age, and at home in South Africa, I have friends that were with me in high school that are having kids after they are married for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and it truly depends on, what your values are and what you're trying to accomplish in your life. And, we're on our own timelines. Everyone's on their own timeline. No one.
Yeah, but there's the anxiety that
there's like an outside.
All the fish will get swooped up.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's a fair and valid point. That there's plenty of fish in the sea, is what people say, but
they're all married.
as you do get older, I mean,
it dwindles.
It definitely gets less and less.
Also, I mean, from another standpoint, there's also like kind of the body clock that ticks against you, at least as like a woman. Your window of time where you can like safely bear children, can also kind of limit you.
That's true.
Yeah.
So like at least in that aspect, you guys have a little bit more leniency. So like
we got time, dude.
You got time.
Don't worry about it.
Whereas like if like I'm pretty sure I think it's like if you're pregnant, I want to say it's after 30, it's considered like a geriatric pregnancy, which is crazy because like to me, I don't feel like I'm a real adult until I'm like 30.
It's not crazy to me at all. From my perspective, like people are having kids like 25 in South Africa.
Yeah. That's
like the age.
See, but that's like the age I feel like when like our parents were having kids. Like I know my parents, they got married really young and they were by my age, my mom had already had my sister and potentially was pregnant with me. Whereas like now, I still feel like a child, and the thought of like bringing a child into this world is like absolutely terrifying. And I'm like, I have to take care of myself. How can I take care of another human being? Mind you, like I know I could, like I babysat for years, but like it's different. It's so different.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think for some reason, our generation is pushing off the responsibility of like, not the responsibility, but like being the adults. The next generation's adults.
Yeah.
Well,
just again a more like general aspect. Why is it that like we're afraid to commit to a relationship? Like, get married. You've been dating for like 6 years. Just get married. Get on with it. Tough vibes.
I think it depends. I mean, when it comes to like feeling like an adult, I know like for me a big thing is kind of the financial burden. Like, things do in fact cost a lot more today. I mean, there's been studies where it's like comparing, what the income was, 20 years ago versus like the cost of living as of what it is today. And like, we're still making the same wages, but houses are double what they cost, back in 1990 or like, the price of college, like student loans.
Yeah, I kind of see where that argument comes from. But that argument falls when you compare different countries too.
True. I'm talking strictly America.
Yeah,
where things are very
just like super interesting. Like people are earning way less in like different countries, and they're still like being the adults, like where people where we are, I think has a lot to do with, okay, just saw this macchiato that I need to go try out on TikTok. You drive like 20 minutes, waste like a pint of gas, get the macchiato, it's $20.
Damn, that's a big macchiato.
No, but like, it's things like that, like social pressures to like
Yeah.
go try all these things, like food, for example, events, where we're like, I don't know if our lifestyle has become more expensive.
Oh yeah,
Because of things like that.
true.
Definitely.
I also think, you know, at least from my experience of, you know, being in this country, I think we also can be very sheltered. Like, I know, I mean, I've lived in Connecticut my entire life. So, like, I know what life is like here. Everyone says that, you know, things are different down south, things are different in Europe. Like, and, you know, you don't really know until you go. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll start to learn soon.
Yeah. You gotta try and experience
But
different things.
it's also about kind of the opportunities that you have. I think everybody has different barriers that kind of keep them from that, whether it be financial, family, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, like, our conversation has dwindled from my book to because it's how to like start talking to people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've got more topics that you want to head on.
I just have really one more that I think is important, and you know, we haven't really hit on any of the getting serious stuff, but I think for the purpose of this, I think just hitting on starting or getting ready to start dating and then getting out there and dating, I think we've hit on a lot of different things, and at least I hope someone out there uses one of our tips. But another thing is, you know, don't look for people that are completely like you. Like a lot of people think, I need to go find someone that likes everything that I like, or is a carbon copy of me. And, you know, it's true that opposites attract, in my opinion. I think that it's true. And actually, like, back in the day when people were finding mates, it was we're genetically made, our biological purpose in life is to reproduce. And they basically found people with different genetic traits because then their offspring would have a greater chance of survival. And I think that still reigns true. I think having someone that is, you know, does everything like you do can be kind of a lot. Like, I don't think I'd want to date myself. I
wouldn't.
I wouldn't. And, you know, there's you know, good things about finding someone that has differences from you and have different interests. Like, you work on compromise and finding new things that maybe you enjoy that you never would have gotten to experience. And you look like you wanted to say something in that.
Oh, earlier. I don't know. Well, two things actually. So, my mom actually told me this. She's like, listen, opposites attract, and it's okay, it's good. It like brings a challenge and it helps you grow. So, his weakness could work on your positive, or your positive could help his weakness, and his positive can help your weakness, type things. But like, for example, my parents are honestly like the opposite. The one's always early, the one's like always late. The one is like super emotional, the other one is like emotionless. It's just like all these things. And yeah, the one's like super like people person, and the other is like engineer, like bam bam bam, you're wrong, you're right, get out. Like, it's honestly incredible how different they are. So that was just funny when you said like opposites attract, and I think if it's with magnets, it has to be with people too, right?
Right, exactly. I think, and it you know, I think that it's good to have variety in your life and not just
spice it up.
Yeah, the same thing all the time. And like I said, you get to learn new things. And then another suggestion that Logan Ury has is OSO, which is basically other significant other. So not polygamous, but Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you are, whatever you believe in, I don't care.
Jeez, okay.
Took a turn.
But
no care.
But it's like, if you're really interested in football and your significant other is not, it's okay to, have a friend who is really interested in football, who
appreciates football.
Yeah, who appreciates it, and they like fill in that space a little bit, and that's okay. It's not like you need to like everything that I like and I need to like everything that you like. It's I can appreciate these things, but I'm really not interested in football at all, and like I'd rather be making a podcast instead of watching football.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be okay. And there's like, if you have a friend that is really interested in football and wants to come over and watch the game with you, then there you go. You still have that person, but it's just not the same person. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't, it doesn't have to be in a romantic sense of like, oh, you have two significant others, of you do half the stuff with this person and half the stuff with this person.
I mean, so I definitely agree that I think it's important to have different people to share different interests with, but I would counteract that, if there is an interest that, is really important to your partner, like making a conscious effort to at least learn about it, explore it. Like, for example, you are a big football fan. Mm-hmm. I genuinely couldn't care less about football. And yet I participate in fantasy every week. I update my lineups. Like I'll watch it like for like Christmas last year, like, I got us tickets to go to a Pats game. Like I think, if it's something that your partner cares about, like you should care about it too, because they care about it, not because you genuinely care who goes to the Super Bowl or whatever, but just to show that, I'm interested in your interests, and I'm gonna put that effort in, because also I would want you to do the same. Like, I know you couldn't care less about Twilight. That was my childhood. So like having a Twilight movie marathon, and like just being there to enjoy it, even if you couldn't care less, I think just shows a level of love and understanding. And
definitely it's I was just about to say a very similar thing, but you basically spoke for me. It was in your book that we read about giving or putting in credits.
And deposits.
Putting in like deposits. What book was that again?
7 Habits.
Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
They also said a similar thing where you have to put in deposits into like other people's lives, even though it's not something that you want to do, or specifically something that you need or want or have any affection for. You still gotta do them.
It's about putting in like a deposit into your relationship wellness jar, almost like you're saying, I care about you, ergo I want to appreciate what you appreciate and like enjoy this with you. It doesn't have to be something that you're totally ecstatic about, or like would do on your own, and like I don't expect you to like go and do research on like the Red Sox full history, but just appreciating going to a game and cheering for a team. That's a big thing. Or watching a Twilight movie marathon.
But at the same time, it's also like they make false deposits, and this is something like another more personal side, but next to I like giving like gifts or something. So like every now and then, like I would have gotten her flowers and something like that, but it was almost, to me, it was like a deposit. Like, I'm getting my girlfriend flowers. Like, girlfriend loves flowers. Turns out like she basically couldn't care less about the flowers. It's just not something that was for her would have been like a deposit from me. It's like I did an action that made me feel good, but it wasn't really for her. Which I only like realized later, that like, oh, these little flowers, like they mean a gesture, but it's not the gesture that she needs.
Well, because it's also about understanding your partner and like what their needs are.
Because like
you know, it's one thing to like get somebody flowers, but it's another thing to get somebody flowers that like, you know, when they have like a very bad pollen allergy. Like, it's like, I think, you know, when you're trying to do something nice, it's one thing to do, you know, kind of the generic whatever. It's another thing to go a step beyond and to really understand who your partner is and kind of playing to that. So like, you know, knowing who they are, what they appreciate, what they need, and kind of going based on that as opposed to just kind of the generic whatever.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, it's, speaking of deposits too, but realizing, like, if I was placing the deposits and it wasn't received, I almost want to say an unreceived deposit is almost worse to a relationship than not. So, like, me going out of my way, getting her flowers, things like that, and, like, taking this whole detour for this whole little gesture that I want to do, and it's not received by her, just makes me feel, like, really bad about it. Like, she doesn't appreciate stuff like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Which is actually, like, it's the balance of finding who you like.
Absolutely. I will say on, like, the other end of that, though, I think it can be hard also for the partner that kind of gets the gift or the gesture or whatever it may be. And if it's something that, you know, isn't necessarily something that they're akin to, it can almost feel like almost a bit isolating just because you're like, oh, my partner doesn't know me. My partner doesn't actually think about, you know, what I like, what I want, and that can also be really hard. So I think it's definitely a two-way street. So it's a level of like, okay, I want to acknowledge your feelings and let you know that I appreciate the gesture you've made. And the gesture you made, while kind and thoughtful, might have missed the mark. And now I feel like I'm not being seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any comments, CJ?
No, I mean, I think
Where have you missed the mark?
No, I mean, I think it's fair to, you know, you think that you're doing something that's a deposit, but in reality, it's really a withdrawal for both parties. Like, to both of your points, where one person is like, well, I'm not appreciated, and or you feel inside yourself that I've done this nice thing, like, why are they mad at me? And it doesn't make sense. And, you know, the other person is feeling the opposite, to your point of, well, I'm not, they don't understand me. Like, I don't like flowers, like, at all. I have the worst green thumb in the world, and I just kill them. But, like, if I got you, I don't know, a fake plant or a plastic plant or something, you'd like that more because it's pretty to look at, but you don't need to try that hard.
Yeah.
Like, something like that. So, I mean, I see it from both sides, and it's just, you know, kind of that communication right off the bat and saying, I really appreciate this, but I hate flowers. Like, this is really nice, and I know that you were thinking of me, but, you know, you don't need to do this in the future. Because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And that is probably going to be hard to hear too, like, because again, you're thinking, well, I got you these flowers, like, you don't like it, and then they shut down that gift.
Mm-hmm.
But in the future, I think it actually saves more than it hurts. Like, it may sting in the beginning, like, oh, well, I guess you don't want these flowers.
Yeah.
But now you're gonna hopefully stop getting her flowers or them flowers, and maybe try to think of something else to show appreciation or to a new gesture. But if they don't tell you that, then I think it's, you know, both parties are a little bit at fault.
Well, absolutely. And I think, you know, your relationship is going to benefit in the long run if you can have that open communication from the get-go, as opposed to, like CJ was saying, you know, if, you know, you kind of just want to say feelings early on, and it's just like, oh, like, thank you for the flowers. Like, you can tell when it's not, like, a genuine, like, you can appreciate the gesture and still not necessarily like the gift. And that's going to come across. I don't care how good of an actress you are. Like, you know.
Yeah.
You're...
I kind of almost disagree with that. I think, and I feel like people nowadays too, it's become more of a thing. But I believe this was Dale Carnegie. I did a course with Dale Carnegie, and he said that like, you shall receive a gift with an open heart, wholesomely, always, because you receiving a gift, even though you hate it, if you receive it well, it makes the other person's gesture feel appreciated.
Yeah, no.
Like, you can literally receive it well and then like go burn it or something.
And I think that's true. I think like, I don't know. I think without outright saying it, if I've ever received a gift, I've usually been like, wow, thanks. Like anytime I get a Christmas gift, and I probably hate like some of the Christmas gifts I've gotten in the past, or any gift that I've gotten in the past, and I've been like, this is great, this is awesome. Like, but
it points to like, I don't know who said it or who came up with it, but I think there's like 7 different love languages that people have, and the one is receiving gifts, which my girlfriend was not, apparently, and and then the other one is giving gifts, which is also like an act of love. And if you're shutting down someone's action of love, how they show their love, you're basically like turning off one of the few ways, or one of the couple ways in which they show their love to you.
That's an interesting point. I feel like if like your love language is gift giving, then you should almost be giving the gift with the intent of making the other person feel happy, not making yourself feel good. Like, yeah, and when it comes to like something like gifting a partner something, I mean, if your great aunt gave you something that you were like, oh, thanks Aunt Sue, like appreciate it, like whatever, it's not a big deal. But like when it's your partner, like I think it's important to keep that open communication, because like if things get lost in translation, I mean, it can kind of build this like resentment. Like, not for nothing with my parents who are now divorced, my dad had gotten my mom this little like, I don't know, they're these little statues of like this woman, and she like can be an angel, she like holds children, like these weird little statues, and she like, he had gotten her one randomly like one year, and she's like, oh my god, thanks, like okay, like great, whatever, right? And then he proceeded to get her that same type of statue in different variations every single year after that. And she's like, what the heck am I gonna do with all these statues? Like, they're in like this cupboard, and it's kind of like, okay, whatever. But it's like it was just kind of this autopilot. Like, she's like, oh, he's like, oh, she liked it, so I'm gonna keep that up. Whereas like she could say, you know, I appreciate the gesture, and I love you, and like I want you to understand me and like know me well enough to get me something that you know I'll enjoy. Like, I think that's a big thing, like especially because I would say I don't necessarily receive gifts as good as I give them, because like when I give a gift, I try to think about who that person is, what their interests are, what they like, what they would appreciate, what they need, what they wouldn't get themselves. And you know, I would want, you know, I would hope for that same kind of consideration in return, you know?
Yeah. No.
Well, I think we've had a fantastic conversation. I couldn't even tell you how long we've been going for. But, you know, I think it was really good. I think we should wrap it up here. And you know, I hope that anybody out there who maybe you're in a relationship, maybe you're not, maybe you're in early stages, or maybe you're single as a Pringle, and I do hope that
DM our podcast.
Yeah, email us. We really want to.
I'd love to go on a date.
Yes, if you want to go on a date with Yvonne, email us or drop a comment, and maybe you can be the next guest star on the show. But no, this was interesting. We kind of bounced around between romance, relationships, philosophy,
love.
Yeah, everywhere in between. But Hannah, how'd you like being on the podcast?
It was fun. It was different, but I think, you know, it's always a good time talking to you guys. So thanks for having me.
That's nice.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah. Anything else, Yvonne?
Yeah, no, I think it was good. I do encourage people to actually go read this because this is more tips. Maybe somewhere I'll pin my favorite tip from this book. It's really worthwhile reading it. You can find it down in the link below. It's really worthwhile reading it and executing on some of them a week, I would say. So like choose 3 that you're going to focus on and do them for a week. Then choose the next 3 and do them for a week. There's 92 of them, so you're going to be busy for quite a long time.
It's a commitment.
No,
Yeah.
It's a commitment, but like doing just...
But so are relationships.
So are relationships. Doing like 3 of these a week, you might just get into the habit of them, and you'll build relationships more easily. You will be less stressed about talking to people randomly, and you'll just be a better communicator in general, I think.
Yeah.
As for the 2 books, not as much overlap
Not as much.
this time, but
I think it was more free-flowing conversation.
yeah,
in general.
no, it was, but nonetheless, it was still a great conversation.
Yeah. 2 good books. What'd you have? How to Talk to Anyone?
Yeah.
And
Liel Lowndes.
How Not to Die Alone by Logan Ury. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week on Blur the Lines. Stop recording.
What's up, blurbs? Thanks for sticking with us to the end. This was a great week, and I'm happy to have been here. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow the boys. Tune in next week while they discuss...
Self-reflection. I'll be doing the book Win Your Inner Battles by Darius Farrow.
And I will be covering The Subtle Art of Not Giving an FCK.
And don't forget, stay curious, stay inspired, and blur the lines.
Blur those lines.
Blur the lines.